ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else and anywhere on the gender binary. It's Sunday evening. You know what that means. It's time for some Double Dragon Irongol Championship rounds. My name is Shattered Flames. I'm joined in the booth tonight by the Amused Miniature. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. I've been taking a little bit of a hiatus from Final Fantasy Randomizer, but I'm back and I am ready to watch what should be a really exciting race tonight. We have Trash Island Treasure Hunters taking on Teamwork for Dummies, and we're doing a title for the championship spot here. So the winner walks away with the championship title, if I'm not mistaken, with the rule set here. And we have some pretty interesting flags this evening. How are you feeling about those?
Well, all I can say is I hope everyone brought some snacks because there's going to be a lot of searching and a lot of hunting to try to find anything and pretty much everything. It's basically oops, all loose. So among everything else, that's the biggest key to me tonight in this flag set.
Yeah, absolutely. The big thing here is that we have the early items from like the king and from Sarda, as well as the sages as early as well. So that might help us out a little bit. And we also have the early open progression as well. So a lot more open right off of the get-go here.
Indeed, the only items in the incentive pool are the Masamune and the ribbon. And there's only 2 incentive locations, the locked caves, the locked rooms in Marsh, and ordeals, which is not an early item. And we are off and running.
Yeah, see, lock level 1 and black magic level 1, exit and white magic level 1. Lock has been flagged for auto hit this seed as well, so we might see some of that.
Well, I think that given some of the scalings that I've seen in this, it might not be a bad purchase, but I'm not certain I would put it as a must-have. But given what's available in Black Level 1, it's probably the best of your options.
Yeah, absolutely. White magic has it pretty good, though. That exit spell is pretty sweet to have right off of the get-go. Invis 2, Kier spell. I mean, there's just a lot of the traditional stuff that you're seeing at level 1, but that exit spell is pretty huge.
Exit and Invis 2 are the 2 big ones for me. Cure is a good backup, especially if you run short on heal potions, which at 21 isn't too bad tonight. And I see already we have a little bit of route divergence here, and as Luffy is heading west toward the Dwarf Cave, and Lord Fizzlebeef is heading up to Garland.
That was a Silver Axe and a Soft Potion in the Dwarf Cave, and we get the bridge in Temple of Fiends on the bottom left there.
Well, it had to be early. It was either going to be one of these 2 or probably in Dwarf, so best to find it early and get it out of the way.
Yep, absolutely.
Alright, while we're waiting to... Actually, hold that thought, we have a Garland fight. And it looks like it's going to be the fighter powering through, is that a power staff he's using?
I'm not sure. I actually didn't quite catch that. Heal Potion, Anti-Fire Helm, and I didn't quite catch the last one in Matoya's cave there.
It's a weaker version of the Light Axe. It's a Harm Axe +3.
Okay, so burst weapons, adding some bonus damage to those weapons, making them a little more viable. I definitely like that the seed has given the knight as a potential starting character. That's pretty nice to have.
Well, yeah, the way the seed was set up, we had everyone is forced. That's why you see 4 identical parties on screen. Your top character was guaranteed to be in melee, whether base or promoted. Your bottom character guaranteed to be a mage, again, either base or promoted. The other 2 characters could be anything in the gamut.
Yep. And with us not having the tail this seed, that's gonna help out having at least one promoted character.
Right, and thank you for Voxolid pointing out it's an iron staff that the knight is swinging. Meanwhile, as exploration continues over for the Trash Island treasure hunting unit, Luffy has found Melman. And it appears Cure 3 was in level 5 white in the 3rd slot.
And Teamwork for Dummies is going to pick up their bridge and get moving along here. Lord Fizzlebeef going for Garland again here.
Well, he picked up a couple levels outside, so maybe that'll be a bit of a help. And given that the fighter started tonight with an extra 15% to his hit percentage, he may be up to 2 hits on that iron staff already. But I'll get into that when we have a little bit less of a frantic moment, as we now have 3 players fighting Garland. I see we have a little bit of a split here. Fighter with the staff. You got your black mages flinging ice, which is about the best they can do at this point. And meanwhile, Luffy is getting in touch with nature.
Well, the sooner we get that exploration out of the way, the better off we're going to be. I didn't see what the princess's item was. I missed that.
The king gave 2,626 gold, and the princess gave us the boat. Now, a thing to note here is, unless things have changed from the last time I watched the co-op race, key items are still shared between teammates. So, since Luffy took care of Garland, I'm sorry, I'm getting it mixed up. Since Lord Fizzlebeef took care of Garland, now Luffy won't have to do that to get his boat. You'll see it pop up on the screen here any second now.
Yep.
Nope.
And
go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, it looks like he's going to head for Elfland. So if you're Lord Fizzlebeef at this point, where do you go? It seems like they're communicating with each other to try to cover as much ground as possible, but where else can they go with just the ship?
One place I hate going, Marsh Cave. Also, I want to point out, in case anyone missed it up on Dengwu's side, hint NPCs are turned on. So he talked to one of the old men of Melmond and found out that the Oxyale is in the Earth Cave, floor 2.
Nice. We also have trash hints turned on as well. So what is it? 50% of the hints that are given are going to be just garbage text.
Personally, I'm interested to see what some of that garbage hints are, because I normally don't play with hints on, so I'm always looking to see what sort of amusing shenanigans we get into.
And Luffy has found the pirates, buffed pirates on this seed, and I believe that was in Elfland. Yep.
Now, buffed pirates, that might take a little bit. I imagine getting a few more levels and coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. He did find the Fire 2 spell, I believe it was Fire 2 at level 2 in the Black Magic shop. So, it's got plenty of spell choices at least.
Well, if you could just have a better melee character wielding that saber spell that was at level 2, that Black Mage might be more useful, but c'est la vie.
And it looks like Jack has gone for Marsh Cave.
which in all is probably the most logical play at this point because you really can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a really interesting seed. Typically, the only time I go to Marsh Cave is when it's incentivized.
I try to avoid Marsh Cave whenever possible, and yet it seems like half the time I end up there. I'm one of the founding members of Team Nevermarsh, so take that as you will.
It is probably one of the largest difficulty spikes that I've ever experienced in an RPG, that is for sure.
Yeah, I'd be willing to agree with you with that, especially in vanilla. In Randomizer, it depends on what enemies roll.
A lightning hammer.
Does that mean that thing's made of rubber?
I would hope so.
Well, regardless, it gets left behind as it probably has all rights to be left behind, and we're moving on.
Yep, and Luffy and Marsh Cave as well. Checking out those same chests so far.
Yep, so he's about to run into the bad news.
And it was just regular fire at level 2 on the Black Mage there. So, unfortunately, no easy way to deal with the pirates this time around.
Yeah.
At least not yet.
It's almost to the point where your best bet is to try to get up to 6 charges of Invis 2 or find a sweeper spell.
Ooh. Earth protecting the chest in Marsh Cave.
I saw the prompt on Dengwu's screen that the adamant was claimed. I'm not certain if that was in the trap chest. I'm certain we'll find out here in just a moment.
Yeah, that frost ability, brutal. Characters aren't quite high enough level to do that.
And we're being told it was loose in the bottom of the marsh. So that must have been right in the room right above it. Alright, so you have the adamant, so that brings Dwarf Cave into play. You'd almost have to assume that there's going to be a key item here, whether it's a canal to open up exploration or even a canoe to get over to the Crescent Lake area. If you're in this position, which one would you prefer to see?
I think at this point I would rather see a canal, because with the canal you can still reach Crescent Isle, be it the long way around via the dock up at the top, if I remember correctly. So I think I'd rather see the canal over the canoe right now, just so we can open up those early access locations.
I'm actually in the opposite boat. With the canals, it gives me access to a few more fights on the water, which are usually a little bit higher experience. So if I need something that isn't giant or peed related to get some experience, going on the waterway is usually good. Plus, it lets me get over to Volcano and Ice Cave if needed.
Okay, that's a fair point. And I think that the big thing with it is that both of them are going to open up high experience areas, because you can still reach the Crescent Lake area with the canal, and you're reaching the river system with the canoe over to the volcano, and both of those have pretty good experience enemies. So I think. I would have to say that I still think that the canal would be more fortuitous, maybe. But I definitely see your point, and you would definitely rack up more experience there.
Yep. On Dengwu's side, we have a Peninsula of Power play as Luffy picks up the Adamant, Loose, and Marsh. And the Adamant ended up just being a little over 1,700 gold. So progression. I'm trying to think where else progression could be.
Have we seen Northwest Castle yet? What is actually there?
Floor and entrance shuffle are not on. It's just towns that are shuffled. So Northwest Castle isn't going to do us any good until we get the crown or the key.
Okay, I was mixed up about that. I thought that it still swapped the ordeals in Northwest Castle areas. So that's good to know, though.
And our tracker pointing out in our private chat that it's probably the pirates. So expect a little bit of a grind here. And shout outs to Danny. So while we wait on a little bit of a grind, which I think that's what Dengwu is trying to set up here, real quick, let's go over some of the blessings that we have for tonight's classes in this forced party setup. As you see, we have a knight, a white mage, a thief, and a black wizard. For the knight, they get bonus 15 magic defense and 15% to base hit. The white mage is plus 20 vitality and plus 10 strength, so a white samurai strat may be on the table. For the thief, they are allowed red mage armor and 20 HP additional. For the black wizard, it's plus 20 strength, and they get thief luck. So a little bit of help in running away is probably their best option.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I presume that that thief luck is actually referring to the mechanic of the thief helping you run away from random encounters, correct?
Not necessarily. In this case, thief luck, yeah, it's easy for me to say, apparently, at 10:15 at night. The thief luck is referring to the stat growth when you level. The thief is guaranteed 1 point of luck every level. Other classes don't have that, so when you get the thief luck as a blurse, it changes your stat growth to be guaranteed 1 point per level.
Okay, I actually didn't know that. Okay, cool. We also have blurst weapons tonight as well, but I didn't see blurst armor. So -2 to +5 on all weaponry is indeed possible, but we're just going to be running with vanilla stats for armor.
Well, it wouldn't be Irongol if there wasn't some sort of challenge involved with everything.
Yep, that's for sure.
Meanwhile, on Lord Fizzlebeast's corner, he's now doing a Peninsula of Power grind.
Yeah, I think both teams at this point have kind of narrowed it down and said, okay, it's got to be the pirates. We gotta figure out how to deal with them. And at this point, grinding is about all you can do.
Yep. So I would imagine this is almost personal preference at this point, whether you grind up at the Peninsula of Power, which Fizzlebeef is doing with just a knight. Actually, both of our top players are doing it with just a knight. Or if you try to grind near the Elfin location, so you're right there and are ready to go.
Yeah, and you know, I think that with the equipment setups that we currently have, the Peninsula Power is definitely the play that I would take, just because the knight is doing enough damage to actually handle the enemies. The only downside to it is that you're leaving behind all of your other party members. And as we discussed, those class bonuses really beneficial to the white mage. So I mean, it's kind of a toss up there for sure. but I think I agree with the Peninsula power play.
Yeah, in my mind, the Peninsula Power just edges out grinding outside of Elfland, as long as you're able to keep your knight alive, because if he drops, well, you've just wasted a lot of time.
Yep, yeah, for sure. And definitely the area around Elfland much safer. But it looks like Jack might be going back to try those Earths again, see if he can get the edge on them.
That's an intriguing play. Let's see how this works out for him as Luffy heads up to the Peninsula of Power himself now.
Decides to nope out when 4 of them decide to show up.
Well, in all honesty, I don't blame him.
Me either.
We still got our grinds going on. I believe Lord Fizzlebeef is doing some last minute stocking. I guess he's going to go ahead and give the pirates another shot here.
I think that's definitely, well, maybe not. I saw him pick up the fire spell for level 2 Black Mage or Black Wizard and see what he can do with that. That gives him an extra option for helping deal with some of these zombie type enemies. So I think I agree with that. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, unless they've gotten rid of it, they should still have that harm axe. So that's at least something to help with the zombies, and the fire will help with the trolls, at least traditionally. So that might be another reason to pick it up.
I think that Dang Wu actually has his harm axe equipped. I'm pretty sure I saw the knight swinging an axe, and that would definitely make sense that that's what he has equipped right now, because I think it was a harm axe +3 if I remember right.
Yes, you'd be correct. And I have my little cheat sheet brought up over here on one of my extra monitors just to check for stat blowsings and hit tables. Now that I bring that up, with the light axe at +3, he already starts with 2 hits. Third hit is at level 7, the fourth is at 17. 17's probably a bit too far to be going at this point, but maybe if you get to about 14, get some of the extra health in. Oh, wait a minute. We have a canal sighting.
Right behind the Earths, I presume. My stream locked up here.
Yep. The Earth trap tile was guarding the canal, so there's our regression.
Now watch as you're right and the pirates have the canoe.
Reverse commentator's curse, anyone? Right, Dangwoo has the fighter up to 14. Probably doesn't have everything handy on the fly to check the hit percentages, so he may think that's close enough. That meanwhile looks like he's making a beeline for Crescent to see what the old men have as a free item.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with that play as well. Let's go ahead and get the free item out of the way. Let's find out what it is and figure out where we need to go next.
Hi, we have a question in chat. We haven't watched any team runs before. Can someone explain how this works? I can try to explain this very poorly, but here we go. The way co-op Final Fantasy is set up is all 4 players are running the same seed. There are 2 players to a side. In this case, Dangwoo and Jat are on one team, Lord Fizzlebeef and Luffy are on the second team. The teams share key items between themselves thanks to a Lua script that was created by one of our devs. So when one player gets an item, a key item, you'll see the prompt show up on their partner screen about 10 to 20 seconds later, depending on how quick the script refreshes. And the objective is for generally both players to independently get through the Temple of Fiends Revisited and defeat Chaos. The race doesn't end until both players have made their kills of Chaos and have finished the game.
And Dangwoo picked up the town of Gaia. Is that? Oh, I missed what location he was stopped at. Is that the Gnome? Is that what it's called? I think. In the vanilla game, the town that's next to the Earth Cave.
That's Melmond.
Melmond, thank you.
And also, Jet found Lafane, I believe that was in the Crescent location, and Gergo Floor 2 has the floater.
I thought it was the Oxy Ale that we got a hint for.
It's a second hint.
Oh, okay, I missed it. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a slab.
Well, I guess there's going to be 2 loose items in Earth 2. The other thing to mention that I forgot in my long-winded rant about 2 minutes earlier is both sets of teams are in their own voice chat, so they can discuss notes with each other. They can jot down notes if they're in, say, a Google Doc or whatever. You can't share screenshots, that would be cheating. You're able to communicate with your partner and tell them, hey, if you're looking for item XY, it's here. If you're looking for, if we're playing Shard Hunt, if you're looking for 6 shards, you can find 5 of them in this dungeon floor, and that's how you can further speed up the seed and have some teamwork going on.
Yeah, and I definitely like this idea of sharing key items. I think that it's absolutely fantastic to be able to bring multiple people together on the same team to try to beat the seed just as fast as humanly possible. I think it brings just that extra little layer into the randomizer community and allows you to actually engage in co-op in an RPG. Who would have known? And it's not an MMO either.
Yeah, let's not get started on MMOs. You'll be hearing me rant all night. Meanwhile, Earth 2 turns out to be loose item central. Not only was the Oxio, as mentioned there, but we also found a cube. So the Oxio, the slab, and the cube all in Earth 2. So that opens up a few more options.
Man, those gargoyles really romping on Dangwoo there.
Yeah, gargoyles are some of the most annoying enemies that I come across, no matter if I'm playing vanilla or rando. Especially since they can roll so many and they usually attack before you even get a chance to do anything.
So main flags tonight, our towns are going to be randomized. We have shuffle trap tiles. No freebies to start with, no rat tail. There are only 2 incentivized locations or deals and the locked marsh chest. And the items in that pool are the Maza and Ribbon. Ordeal Pillars are shuffled, and Lefanish Hospitality, and we also have Blurst Weapons and Classes.
Possible decent grind tile in the Hall of Giants behind the Gurpeed is a regular P tile. And as Danny has posted in chat, there are the flags for tonight if you want to take a look at this madness yourself and see what exactly we're all getting ourselves into.
Oh, the other thing that I forgot to mention with the flags is that essentially everything is loose. But it seems like Earth Cave is the ticket to progression, at least for the early part of the game.
Yep, when in doubt, Earth Cave is your friend. Hashtag Team Nevermorish. So we have 3 more grinds still going at the Peninsula of Power, or actually 2 at the Peninsula of Power and 1 at Lufenia Lake. Yes, that's right. That's a thing now. Slabs translated. So thanks to the power of the Lua script, as soon as that comes up on Jat's screen at the bottom, you'll see him immediately talk to the key NPC there. He's trying to manipulate the Lua script to get it to work. And it gets a roost stick for his efforts.
Hey, I'm all for that roost stick. That's pretty cool.
Well, there's your guaranteed evasion item, so that's always a good thing to find.
Yeah, definitely a shame that that slab didn't lead to something else, a little bit more progression. But I mean, we can't have all the progression at the beginning of the game.
True, but then again, I'm not going to turn my nose up at a roost stick as a turn in for a slab. Especially if that means we don't have to get loop hunt ever again.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially since it's +3 as well. That's actually pretty decent, isn't it?
It depends on what it got rolled on, whether it's the wizard staff or the mage staff.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that it's multiple staffs that it rolls off of.
Right. Even though mage staff is just minimally weaker than the wizard staff, 3 points is still 3 points, and that's a little bit of a difference.
Mm-hmm. Quad X definitely out of the budget for right now.
But it's still something to look into because one of the things we did not mention in our rundown of the flags, the power word thresholds are not your vanilla 300 points. It's 600 tonight. So if you get an enemy worn down to say 582 hit points and cast Quad X, they will be terminated.
Yeah, and it's really interesting that they the way that they decided to set up the flag set tonight, because bosses have extra HP, 150 to 300%, was what I have written down in my notes here. So maybe something a little bit later will come into play there with that.
It's entirely possible, and stats are only scaled 100 to 200. For enemies HP, it's just 50 to 200%. So enemies average about vanilla. Bosses average about double and change. So it might take a little bit more work to get to where you need to be.
Yeah, I think Lord Fizzlebeef and Luffy have kind of left themselves to the fate of the pirates here, deciding to just continue that Power Peninsula grind here. The canoe in Water Shrine.
Canoe in one of the greed chests, and on the opposite side of the sea shrine, Jet runs across a helpful mermaid who says that the chime is in floor 5 of the ice cave.
Ugh. See, now Ice Cave is my least favorite. Like, I don't like Marsh Cave, but I hate Ice Cave. Ice Cave is actually what made me give up beating Vanilla.
Well, in vanilla, you don't have the possibility of having warp as soon as you go in there, so that can help take out a lot of the extra hassle.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It's definitely very, very helpful. The key also in the Water Shrine as well.
As well as the rod that was loose in Sea Shrine up at the Mermaids. So, Fiend Dungeons apparently have all the progression you could ever want tonight. So,
Dang Wu is gonna head to Volcano, it looks like. And wonder where Jat's gonna end up heading to.
with the rod in hand, Jet might be heading down to Earth to try to clear that out after a grind.
Well, it looks like Lord Fizzlebeef might have a play coming up. He might have enough experience under his belt to feel comfortable taking on those pirates.
Yeah, considering his health is sitting at just shy of 500, he should be able to take down the pirates without too much hassle. The question is he going to? Yep, there he goes. I was about to ask if he was going to revive the rest of his party.
Yeah, unfortunately, going to be disappointed as the progression that his team actually needs is indeed in the Marsh Cave.
Well, Jet making a play towards the Dwarf Cave, which is what I was actually thinking, finds a Ruby Force Trouble and a Sun Sword +1 and Dragon Mail.
Wow.
And Dengwu found the crown in the Volcano Armory, so that now pretty much opens up the entirety of Northwest Castle to be a one-shot.
Well, yeah, and the other thing about it is that the exit spell actually makes Volcano a pretty quick and easy to route dungeon. So it'd be interesting to see if Dangwu just decides to go through and grab the first orb.
And the rarely seen Marsh Cave hint NPC, the Fluba, which I'm going to presume is the loot because I've never seen that particular instrument name, is on floor 6 of the Ice Cave.
Anti-ice gauntlets 1,461.75 gold.
Not too good, but grind tiles really aren't worth it either. I mean, you might get something out of these wizards, but it's not a place I would stay for long.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially after you just spent so long grinding at the Peninsula power around Elfland. I would be more interested in trying to move forward.
Yep, agreed. Lord Fizzlebeef going through Marsh again, so he's about to find his key item here. So if he gets through these earth tiles, he will get the canal unlocked for his team, and that'll finally be progression for the reigning champs.
Yeah, it's interesting how back and forth this seed has been, because Trash Island definitely got the ship pretty early on, right around the same time as Teamwork for Dummies. But Teamwork for Dummies is definitely taken a pretty impressive lead at this point.
Well, that's the perils of randomizer. You make one wrong play, you're going to be behind by several minutes, and you just gotta hope you can catch up. I'm not going to take anything away from the champs. They're the champions for a reason, after all. So it just remains to be seen how much they'll be able to make up here, and if Teamwork is for Dummies manages to get an insurmountable lead. And
All right. There is the floater on Dangwoo's side, inside of the volcano armory there. That's pretty much it for key items. I think we still need the loot and the chime. I think those are the only two key items that aren't accounted for at this point.
yes, indeed. And I believe we've gotten hints for both of those. So it's a matter of remembering where the hints pointed to and going to go get them.
Yeah, both of them are in Ice Cave, if I remember correctly. Floor 5 and 6.
Which, as someone who remembers things by B1, B2, B3, and so on, I'm trying to figure out where 6 is and where 5 is, because B1, B2, B3 goes back to B2, and then you drop down to B3 again, and then come back up in B1. So it's, okay, I'm lost.
Yeah, I wonder if how they separate it is after that split between basement 2 and basement 3. That would be my guess.
That would make a wicked amount of sense.
So like 1, 2, 3 is basement floor 1, 2, and then 3, and then you go back up to 2 is 4, back down to 3 is 5, and then 6 is back to 1.
Yeah, that would make sense. I'm gonna go with your explanation until proven otherwise.
I mean, obviously, I'm just guessing because I ain't got a clue either, but...
Hey, sometimes that's just as good. Oh, I see life at level 6 and life 2 also at level 6.
Lightning 2 and Fire 3 at level 6 Black Magic as well.
As well as Warp. So level 6 seems pretty stacked.
Yeah, and Heal 2 on level 4 White Magic, Fire 2 on level 4 Black Magic.
And the old man giving us the hint about the rod on floor 4 of Melmond. Which, if you aren't paying attention, you look at that, it's like, wait. Oh. Okay, I like that particular... yeah, if you're not paying attention, you see floor 4 of Melmond, and you're thinking, wait, Melmond's destroyed. How does it have multiple floors? That's the unlock location tonight. Anti-mute stick, fog shirt, and a dragon sword. Not really much of use in the Canaria locked But that fog shirt turns out to be the black shirt in disguise, so Black Wizard now has some pretty decent armor.
Yeah, and I mean, at least you get something to help protect those mages. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing all kinds of magic coming out for black mages, so it's gonna be much more important to pick up those items for them.
Indeed. Luffy making the Earth play and now picking up his treasure trove of loose items.
I missed that the ruby was actually in here. I forgot that that's where that was. He could go straight to Titan's Trove at this point. And Jat's also in, is that Ordeals? Yeah, that's Ordeals.
And a Mazda plus 5.
Oh, wow.
Oh, there's our endgame weapon.
Yep.
And I noticed that immediately got put onto the white mage, so can't say that I blame him.
Yeah, I definitely don't blame him either. That is absolutely fantastic, though. Speaking of picking up items to protect your mages, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yes, indeed. Looks like Luffy's going to actually do the full Earth clear here, because I think this is the first time we've seen Earth 3 tonight.
Yep. CD Mountain Man. The average time, what would you say? Probably about an hour and a half, hour and 45. But definitely depended upon the flag set. I don't see anything super crazy here tonight, so I'd say probably about an hour and 45.
The answer to that will vary. Give me a second to point out that we found a bottle in one of the locked chests in Tower of Fiends in the bottom right. Now, as for the answer to your question, as Danny points out, it does depend on the flag set. It also depends on if you're playing multiplayer or not, as we find the herb loose in, I believe that's Sharknado floor. Or if not, it's definitely the other floor in Sea Shrine. But given the skill levels of these players and how good they are, hour and a half sounds to be a pretty decent target for tonight.
Yeah, especially with how quickly and efficiently both teams are trying to route things, trying to cover up as much land as possible between the two of them. I don't see the two of them, the two on the same team in the same areas for very long at all, unless it's for grinding. So, pretty good teamwork there, and being able to split things up and kind of split the burden, if you will.
Yes, indeed. Jet going down to Ice Cave found a red angler waiting for him after the initial holes in the floor, so that was a quick no, I want no part of this. Danny is correct to point out we do have some flag sets that you can beat in less than an hour, unless you're me, in which case it's guaranteed an hour and 10 minutes minimum.
I remember my first seed was what was it, 4 hours and 45 minutes or something like that. I forgot one of the chests in Marsh Cave, and it had the floater. It was brutal.
I'm certain everyone makes that same sort of mistake once. You forget a cave in Marsh, or a chest in Marsh. I wish you could forget a cave in Marsh. That would be a heck of a lot easier. You miss a chest in marsh. You try to go through the rod lock and don't have the rod. My personal favorite, you try to get through the door in Temple of Fiends Revisited and you forgot to get the key.
Yep. Interestingly enough, the Harm 3 axe actually is not casting harm, I don't think, is it? I don't think that's Harm 3 damage. I think that's just +3.
But it's a +3 weapon.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you could get some crazy sort of things like a Harm 5 spell, which doesn't exist.
Yep.
Unless you count Fate as Harm 5, but let's not be picky. Lord Fizzlebeef going through C, he's picking up all the key items that Warp and Mermaids, so this is starting to pick up, and Trash Island Treasure Hunting Unit is starting to get some momentum here.
I really like the flag option to talk to an NPC and have them disappear out of your way. That is like the best thing ever.
NPC Guillotine is one of my favorite flags, especially when you can kill the Hooray Dwarf. I realize that's a very unpopular opinion, but I stand by it.
So Chime on the 5th floor of Ice Cave is where that's located at.
Which means if I have my math correct, Jat should be running into it here within the next minute.
As long as he doesn't get obliterated.
It's on should. Meanwhile, in Luffy's corner, blink and you missed it, we had a vampire, and he was immediately terminated.
That's gotta be frustrating for Jat. You're so close.
Okay, I'll take the blame for that one. That was definitely a commentator curve. Ice Sword +3 in Earth 4. That's going to be an improvement over the Light Axe.
Yeah, definitely. I think we still have a couple more chests down here, don't we?
Yes, we have 3 more in the bottom left of Earth 4, and then after that, all that's left is the Fiend.
Well, at least at this point, Jat is running around with this knight who has quite a bit more absorb. So hopefully things don't go awry. Those Frostwolves having the glance ability, definitely not good.
Yeah, any enemy that has one of those look abilities, squint, glance, glare, I usually want no part of and try to nope out of there as soon as humanly possible.
Yep. What cane opal gauntlets, and I didn't catch what the other chest was. I missed it.
Couch, yeah, couch cash. And we have explosives in the Sea Shrine. Lord Fizzlebeef finds the TNT.
Ooh, forced blue dragon fight. Wow.
Well, this might not be too terribly bad depending on how things roll. If they didn't roll anything too dangerous, this should be a nice little chunk of experience.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a nice chunk of experience, and having that Invis 2 spell with them seeming to have a relatively tame move pool here. We should be actually pretty good to just take them down. Those are pretty tame.
Indeed. This isn't something I would keep doing at the moment because it's a bit of a resource drain, but it's definitely something to look into for future.
Yeah, Jet's just been constantly getting the business from Ice Cave here. This right here is the whole reason why I am anti-ice.
If this was a certain other event whose season finale was tonight, there would be a personal foul for giving them the business. That's a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
The chime has been found. Excalibur. Wow.
Excuse me, wait a minute. He didn't pull that out of a stone. I call shenanigans.
Well, I mean, with how much Ice Cave has been punching him in the stone, I think it counts, right? SSPX, thank you so much for the raid with the party too. Appreciate that.
I think I'll allow your comment. Although getting punched in the stone, you'd think that would have to hurt the hand after a while.
That's true.
Meanwhile, on Luffy's screen, we have our first fiend sighting, and immediately the fiend disappears as soon as I say it. So Luffy, the first player to light an orb, 54 minutes and 50 seconds deep into the seed.
And it looks like indeed Lord Fizzlebeef is going to follow up Dangwoo's play a little while ago here, going straight for the volcano, taking a peek to see if he can find that elusive floater. Luckily, it's only a couple of floors down, but he also would have gotten the hint about the chime being on the 5th floor of Ice Cavern. I don't know if he talked to the NPC that gave him the hint for the remaining item in the 6th floor of Ice Cave.
Yeah, I'm not entirely certain on that one myself, but given that there's still items that they need to find, it would be kind of foolish to think that they're not going to open everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like Lord Fizzlebeef is focusing on doing full clears of the dungeons, whereas Dingwu had dipped out of the Sea Shrine. He didn't fight the Kraken, but he did get all of the treasure chests out of the Sea Shrine, whereas I think Dingwu noped out on the mermaid floor.
And we just had the loot found in the ice cave from Jet, so there's another major component needed to finish the game.
So at this point, Dangwu and Jet, I think they have everything that they need to finish the game at this point. They've got the key, they've got the loot, they've got the cube to climb Mirage Tower. Let's see. It's got the chime to get into Mirage Tower. So, and they have the rod to break the deal in Earth Cave. So I'd say, yeah. I'd say they have all the items that are necessary.
Alright, this is the childhood geek in me asking here, if you have the loot and Chaos is the cook, what's the warrant?
That is a good question.
And for those of you who are wondering just what in the blue blazes I'm talking about, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Thank you, Acapella.
I have not heard of Carmen Sandiego in such a long time. I think I was like 5 at that point.
Unfortunately, I've got a few more years on you. I believe I was just before my teenage years when that came on. Meanwhile, Trash Iron Treasure Hunting Unit, getting back to the action on screen, is about to have both players in the air as Lord Fizzlebeef picked up his floater and is now in Elfland Gaia.
Level 3 spells, I didn't see anything super good. Harb 3 in the white magic shop, but what does the lamp spell do? I've never seen that before.
The lamp spell is a meme spell. In all seriousness, it cures darkness.
Oh, okay.
Also in Black level 3 was Lightning 3, as well as Cake and Temper. So, pretty decent options.
Level 4's got Bane, Fire 2, and Brack. And that Brack is a very cheap purchase.
Yeah, if you can get it to connect, that could be 2 easy fiend kills.
Yeah, I really like the prices that we've got going on at the shops here. Those heal potions and pure potions, relatively cheap.
So are pro rings on 94.36, I believe I saw. Yep, 94.36 for pro rings, so that'll be an instant purchase all around.
It looks like Jack has settled in on this sandworm fight here. Just doing some grinding quickly there. It's actually pretty decent tile. He's getting through those encounters relatively quickly. I think I like this.
Yeah, nothing wrong with opening a deli and serving sandwiches all day. After all, they're growing light warriors. They gotta eat too. Alright, so we're just over the 1 hour mark in this race. I'm gonna attempt to give a little bit of a recap, but be warned with the way the flag set is, things might get a little bit crazy, so I apologize in advance, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else on the spectrum. So, we started off with Towns are shuffled. Oops all loose except for a Masamune and a ribbon, which can only be in ordeals in the locked marsh cave. Our key items so far: the bridge was in the Temple of Fiends. The ship was given by Princess Sarah. The adamant was loose in marsh. The incentive in marsh was the canal. The Earth Cave had 3 loose items: the slab, the cube, and the oxyale. The Sea Shrine also had a bunch of loose items: the canoe, the rod, the key, and the herb. The crown was in the volcano armory. Ruby was locked in the dwarf cave. Ordeals had our Mazda +5, which means by default the marsh cave is going to have a ribbon. The bottle was inside one of the locked doors of the Temple of Fiends, and the lute and the chime were both loose in the ice cave. In terms of, sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, actually, I was just gonna point out we only had what three locations that were actually progression heavy. We had we had Earth Cave, and then Sea Shrine had 2 items, I think, and then the volcano had 2 items, and yeah, that's pretty much it, at least in terms of completion, I think. Is that right?
Sea Shrine had 4 items according to the notes that Danny is providing us: the canoe, the rod, the key, and the herb. So 3 of those are definitely needed. Oh, and also the floater was in Volcano Armory. I neglected to mention that. That's kind of an important thing.
Just a little bit.
As I was spouting off a bunch of gibberish and nonsense, we have a Kraken fight up in the upper left corner. Dangwoo's trying to get the first orb for the Teamwork is for Dummies lit up. Meanwhile, over on the right, Lord Fizzlebeef is going through ordeal, so he's about to find the Maza. I'm not certain if Luffy would then immediately turn and go get that himself, but I see Celebration. We are now tied 1 orb apiece.
So Luffy already has grabbed the Mata. He actually finished up ordeals just before Lord Fizzlebeef entered.
What I get for not having my eyes pasted on 4 different screens at the same time and missing something.
No, it's okay. That's why we've got 2 of us.
2 of us, and you think with these thick glasses I'm wearing that it would count as a second set of eyes, but alas, it's not to be. Alright, so roughly an hour in, roughly the same amount of items. Who would you give the advantage to at this point if you had to make a definitive statement?
Well, I would have to say that Teamwork for Dummies definitely has the lead in terms of items checked and locations checked. In terms of experience, I think they're actually pretty even at this point. Because Trash Island Treasure Hunters stayed at that Power Peninsula for quite a while, doing the grind and getting that night picked up. So I think in terms of experience, they have a level field for the most part. I give the slight edge to Teamwork for Dummies though, because they have evenly divided the experience out amongst their party members. So that White Samurai is going to definitely be a play that we'll be seeing out of either Jat or Dangwoo, and Quad X being picked up by Dangwoo is going to help them even further that lead, with it being an automatic kill at anything less than 600.
Indeed. The other thing I want to point out, Teamwork is for Dummies is probably going to have a little bit more of a definitive lead here within the next 5 minutes, because if you notice, Dangwoo is going through Mirage and Sky, Jat's going through Earth Cave, so in about 5 minutes, we could have 2 more orbs lit, and they'd just be a volcano away from being able to go into the Temple of Fiends.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's kind of why I was a little wondering whether or not Lord Fizzlebeef was going to continue his way through the volcano. I know that they had the hints for Ice Cave, but Luffy is there, so I wonder why he noped out of the volcano instead of just going down and lighting that orb.
Could be looking for another item or 2 for progression, for experience progression, I mean. But for all I know, I missed it. He could have ran into an issue and wiped out a volcano.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't paying attention as well. But I think that your first hunch is definitely correct, because Lord Fizzlebeef is now checking out the waterfall cave, instead of just heading towards the orbs. So I think that they quite haven't pieced together yet that they only need to complete the ice cave and then they are in go mode. I think that might be what the holdup here is.
Meanwhile, we have the Earth Fiend taken down for Teamwork is for Dummies. They're up for 2 orbs, and Jet is making his way through Guru Volcano.
This is probably one of my favorite areas in the game, actually. I really, really liked Volcano. It was a really well-designed area, and I love the fact that encounters don't happen on the lava tiles. I think that that was a really nice touch.
Younger me did not understand the significance of that when I first played it. I tried to avoid the lava tiles because I didn't want to have my health constantly sapped away. So, age and experience. I went that when I was younger.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually never played this when I was younger. My family was more the Dragon Warrior family than anything else. I didn't actually get into Final Fantasy until well after Final Fantasy X had come out. So it was, I was probably about 16 or so when I first played this one. So I had access to the internet and knew how to do everything. And it was really nice to be able to find out that that's what actually was going on, and then verify it. But I definitely see what you mean, because there's a lot of things that I wish I knew when I was a kid too.
Meanwhile, we're about to have simultaneous fiend fights. Jet's taking care of Carrie now, and Dangwoo's found the mandatory robot chicken guarding Tiamat. And as I say that, Jet takes care of Carrie. That's 3 orbs for Teamwork is for Dummies. As Warmech number 5, who did not want to be disassembled, is still attempting to give Dangwoo the business.
Yeah, absolutely. Gregory Puff, Ding Wu, and Jet have done an absolutely fantastic job with this seed. 1 orb away, they pretty much have the levels they need to complete the game. It's all going to come down to Topher and whether or not Topher is going to cooperate.
Yep. I don't know if we missed this before, but there was a crystal in the room right before you drop down to the floater chest in Ice Cave. So, Trash Island treasure hunting units picked that up, and it's found a rock gold tile. Meanwhile, the news does not get much better for them, unfortunately, as the air orb has now been lit for Teamwork is for Dummies, and they are in go mode.
So, I think I've seen Jat's party a little bit more prepared for Topher in terms of just raw statistics. Dangwoo has a few more abilities at his disposal, so I wonder if Dangwoo going for Topher is the right play versus Jat. What are your thoughts there?
That's actually a pretty good question. Both of them are running 3-person strats, so it's not a matter of the experience being spread too thinly. I think that with Dengwu getting in early and checking the validation chest just for the giggles, with Dengwu getting in ahead of Jad, who's making some last-minute magic purchases, he'll be able to relay the information of what the fiends might have, and that might make up for any perceived deficits that might exist in the experience.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think I like that analysis. I would agree with all of that. Trash Island has decided to finally go forth and light the orbs. I think they picked up their loot and their chime. So, yep, because Lord Fizzlebeef in Air Castle now. Going to be heading off to light all the orbs as quickly as possible here. I think that they actually have a little bit of an experience deficit now. It's kind of close between the two teams, but I think that Teamwork for Dummies definitely has the edge here.
Yep, Teamwork is for Dummies. Both entered Topher for the first time about a minute and a half apart. Jad apparently ran into something he didn't like and reset back out. As close as they are, I could see both of them finishing here within the next 10 or 15 minutes, barring the gatekeeper Kraken 2 deciding he's going to Honda everybody.
Yeah, and that's definitely a realistic possibility. Another thing that just came up, Badmen have the Poison Touch ability. But what caused Jat to actually nope out was he ran into a team of 4 blue dragons, just decided he didn't want to delve the time into it, I guess. And I don't think they actually had seen blue dragons and how friendly they actually were at this point.
I think Deng would run into the blue dragon tile. So he might have known already. It's just with 4 of them, it might have been a bit of a resource drain, as you mentioned. And up in the upper left corner, we have our first Fiend refight as the purple pajama skeleton is just staring down the party. We're going to attempt cake strats, which on Lich 2, not quite as effective, but it's worth a shot. And instead, Dengwu just says, nope, I've had enough of this. I'm swinging a sword, and you're going to disappear.
Yep, sounds about right.
In the lower right corner, Luffy is facing Carry 1, looking to get their second orb lit up, as Lord Fizzlebeef continues on the march toward Warmech number 5. Okay, one thing I noticed, if you take a look, there are different carry sprites. I like this.
Wow, yeah. Yeah, I never even noticed that.
Yeah, it's probably one of the creative options that he put into his particular ROM, but it's when you see the same things time and time again, something like that stands out.
Yeah, absolutely. We have Lord Fizzlebeef facing off against Warmech now. And we have Luffy going for the incentivized chest in the bottom of Marsh. So he's going to pick up a ribbon.
Yep, and I have not seen any other ribbons come out, so this, for all we know, this could be the key play here.
Yeah, that's all. That's all going to come down to what these final 4 fiends actually have in their arsenal and what Chaos has got up his sleeve.
And Dengwu is out of Topher now, so I was looking down at Luffy's screen for a moment, so I missed what happened.
I missed it as well. I actually don't know. I was watching this fantastic Lich fight here as Jat just is swinging away at him.
Well, there's a nuke, so we know one of those is at least out of the pool now.
Still made it out alive, kind of.
Hey, as long as you're standing and you can get all of your important people back up, that's the main thing.
Yep.
Nobody seems to care about the feet, so yeah, whatever. Bring him back for the Kraken fight and let him be the punching bag.
Yep, no kidding.
Let's see, Lord Fizzlebeef. Is he trying to grind something here on the second floor of Mirage?
I know that chimeras had popped up and vampires are pretty common, but I would think that after some of the other things that he's seen, he would just go to one of the spike tiles instead of just relying on random encounter rate, especially with the encounter rate being reduced in the flag set.
Right, if this was immediately off a power cycle, I could see it being worthwhile, but given how long he took to get that, I'm not certain I agree with that play, but that's why I'm sitting here in the commentary booth and not actually running the thing.
That's definitely a fair point. I think that that Luffy is in Waterfall Cave. Yeah. What are they still looking for?
I. That's a good question. I'm not certain. That'll be something we might have to ask them here at the end of the race.
Oh, there was a ribbon in Waterfall. Danny put that in our private notes here. Thank you for that, Danny. I didn't realize there was a ribbon here.
Once again, the curse of being human. I'm always looking at the wrong screen when anything interesting happens.
I think that every commentator struggles with that.
Yeah, and you'd think I'd be better at it as much as I do tracking, but I guess me talking is taking too much of my brain power, especially this late at night. Ooh, Vorpal +3 in the greater than less than room. Insert your own opinions about Vorpal here.
So like, just numbers speaking, base Excalibur versus a Vorpal +3. Which one do you give the edge to?
It depends on what fight you're taking, actually. And to expand on that a little bit, while yes, the Excalibur overall does have higher base stats. Excalibur base is 45 attack power, 35 hit, and only 10 critical. The Vorpal +3 is 30 damage, 34 hit, and almost 70 critical. So, with the Excal's property of being able to adapt to an elemental weakness for whatever an enemy might be weak to, it's good for a lot of your base fights. When you get to Kraken 2 and Tier 2 and Chaos, that's actually when I would drop the Excal and put on the Vorpal. Unless I have a buffed Thief, in which case, if they have it for 6 or 7 hits, hey, let them go to town with it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Something we missed the first couple times around with Lich 2, he also has Crack.
Yeah, and Kraken was not cooperating, just down to a knight on Jat's side. So I imagine that this is probably what happened to Dang Wu, is he fell at the hands of either the Kraken or one of the fights just shortly after.
And as anyone who's played this Randomizer for any length of time will tell you, Kraken 2 is doing Kraken 2 things. Where's your white mage? We don't care if it's in the 4th slot. We don't care if it's in the 1st slot. It's getting dropped first turn.
Yep. While in Dangwu having to deal with no black mage due to petrification. I mean, this Topher isn't the worst one that I've seen, but it's definitely not very friendly.
I'm also wincing a little bit at Jet's screen. Unrunnable 4-worm tile. Or 4-worm fight, not necessarily a tile, but still.
Yeah, but at least he's picking up the extra experience and getting himself a little bit further along here in terms of HP and MP, or at least stats overall, I should say. Hopefully that'll help to pick some things up. That Bruce 3 staff is going to come in handy here. Playing just solo knight, having a way to boost that evasion is just so critical right now.
I'm gonna have to wait for him to get back into the menu again to check, but I think he's out of heal pots.
He is indeed out of heal pots. He has, I believe it's 4 casts of heal 2 still. Or not heal 2, cure 2.
Well, and he's gonna have to hope Tia goes down in a hurry to save some of those healing spells for before chaos.
Oh, Tia's got cure 4.
And that's not going to help matters at all.
Quad X. Oh, that's brutal.
That's right, folks. If the players can use Quad X at 600 or under, so can the enemies.
Okay, I now retract my statement about Kraken being the thing that ended Dangwu's run.
Alright, so having seen that, if the Trash Island treasure hunting unit can get going, get the other 2 orbs lit, they get into Topher at any point in the near future, they might actually be slight favorites to get through it.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you there. There's a couple more spells that Luffy has picked up, as well as some extra early experience grinding that's gone on. But at this point in time, I think that the Teamwork is for Dummies has no choice but to kind of sit down and grind, because they have the plethora of spells. They've got Life 2 on Dang Wu's White Mage, and we've got Quad X on the Black Mage. I mean, at this point, I think it's just time to sit down, do a little bit of grinding, so that way that you can help get those characters over that 600 benchmark, in case Tia decides to not play fair. I think that's the play here.
I would beg to differ just slightly on that. You know that there's only 2 incentive items, and you found one already. You know what has to be left is a ribbon. If I'm either person on Teamwork is for Dummies, I would go and get that ribbon. Give yourself at least one character with a way to avoid getting dropped by any sort of nasty spell or what have you.
So the ribbon protects against Quad X?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yep, there's a reason that for the most part your ribbon goes on your white mage when you're going down through tier 2 and before chaos, so that way even if your white mage is at 150 and gets quad X'd, they'll survive, and as long as they're still alive, they can revive whoever else needs to be.
That is an interesting sprite for that Tyro.
Team Steak hype.
So, Magus, it's been a fairly interesting seed. Progression was locked early on behind a Earth Element spike tile that had the Frost ability. So had to do a little bit of grinding there. They had buffed pirates to deal with as well. So it was one of those two options. So we saw a lot of grinding before the seed really broke open with the canal find behind that spike tile. And then we had, it was four items that were important in Earth Cave. And we had 4 items in Sea Shrine. And then we had the floater and the volcano. And so it's been kind of compacted at least a little bit to most of the Fiend dungeons have held progression. So it's been kind of tame in that respect. But in terms of this Temple of Fiends revisited here, Lich has Nuke, Tiamat has Quad X, which is 600 or lower in this seed. Kraken hits like a truck, as always. Carrie really hasn't been seeming to do too much, though, but the Temple of Fiends is definitely going to be the turning point for one way or the other.
The other thing to point out, TITHU also has Cure 4s. We did run across that one earlier. So we don't have to worry about Chaos having that as a final surprise.
Yeah, we just get to deal with it before we even get there.
Yep. Meanwhile, Luffy is working on Kraken 1. Lord Fizzlebeef has just come out of the Marsh Cave, picking up that incentive ribbon. So that might be the thing he's looking for to maybe do a one-shot here.
Ooh, Luffy survives Kraken 1 with 4 HP on the night. I like it.
4 hit points is 3 more than you need. Yes, Mages, I believe both have to finish. I didn't see anything that says anything to the contrary.
Yes, I believe that is correct. I took a brief look over the rules and whatnot. I believe that is correct. It is the first team to have both rudders finish. Is the winning team here. Also, the way the brackets are set up is a little confusing for some people. The number 1 ranked person is the leading contender to the championship title. And the way that this whole Double Dragon championship is working is a team of a lower rank challenges a team of a higher rank with a flag set that they create. And the higher rank has the option to say, yes, we agree with these flags, or no, I like to tweak this, this, and this, and then they decide on a date to do the race, and that's when they do the race. So that's kind of how the ranking system works. So you're fighting to get all the way to the number 1 contendership in order to challenge for the championship title. So it's pretty interesting how they have it set up. I like how they determine how you lose rank and gain rank as well. It's pretty interesting how they have everything set up.
Meanwhile, I'd like to direct everyone's attention to the top left corner of your screens as we have a chaos fight. Dingwoo is the first to pull the final boss. We're going to start with rusing up the night, throwing some fast on, and adding a wall. Good idea. So now we're going to throw in some Invis 2. We're going to start tempering the night, which with a Mazda plus 5, I'm not certain how much that'll be necessary, but every little bit helps. Still getting through the limited evade yet, still doing about 100 damage. Needs to watch out there. Good cure by the white mage. Still getting some more ruses up. Let's see. Next turn, gonna keep tempering. Non-elemental swirl. Ribbon will do nothing against that. 400 damage on the attack. Chaos still standing. which is not to be surprising. Cure 3 comes out, another attack for 37. Now we're going to start lowering the evade. Bane comes out, everyone manages to survive it. Here we go with more Invis 2, doing more lock stuff. Meanwhile, Jet has taken down Kraken 2, I noticed out of the other corner of the screen. Coming back up, oh, there's Thunder. So, big damage there. Yeah, heal 2, probably not a bad idea at this point. We'd be getting to the point where I would start considering maybe throwing our Quad X out just for testing purposes, see what happens here.
Yeah, so that way that you at least get a little bit of an idea of what you're looking at for HP. We're getting pretty close in terms of HP, because what is it for vanilla for chaos? Is it 3,000? Is that right?
1,000.
Okay.
With average being just over double, you're looking at maybe 4,200 would be the rough benchmark I would go with, but it could certainly roll higher than that.
Oh, Gregory Puff pointing out Quad X does not work on chaos because he resists death.
I did see an X-Ray stick used. I'm not certain if it hit, but that is a thing. Oh, doesn't matter.
There we go.
Termination. Who was the first runner to terminate chaos? Hour 34 minutes and change. So now it's on Jack to try to duplicate the feat as Lord Fizzlebeef and Luffy are coming up fast.
Yeah, and Luffy having that Life 2 spell handy is going to keep that Black Mage alive a little bit here. We've got Lord Fizzlebeef on carry. I think the last thing I saw on Luffy's screen was Glitch, but it's been a little bit since I looked at him. So, yep.
We now have Agamas showing up. Lord Fizzlebeef looking to take down a group of waters. Well, when in doubt, just fade on them. I fail to see how that could be any sort of problematic.
And Tiamat is giving Jat the runaround here. White Mage now poisoned, but Tiamat just cure forward.
Well, this is the point where I would start to wonder if it's worth trying to let out a fade or any other sort of extra help you might have, because it doesn't look like that White Mage is doing much with melee.
Oh, and Tiamat has rub too. I didn't catch that any of the other times I've seen her on screen.
Tiamat 2 certainly playing the gatekeeper here, and Luffy gets down to the Kraken 2 floor. Lord Fizzlebeef at said Kraken 2.
Uh-oh. Lord Fizzlebeef has ran out of fade casts for his White Mage, so he doesn't have that to fall back on, but at least he can utilize Invis 2. Once again, that was level 1 for Invis 2. That was pretty huge to find.
I was about to make mention of possibly running out of life charges, but I just double-checked the notes, and all the life spells were at level 6, so not necessarily an issue yet, but something to watch out for.
Yep. I love this idea on Lord Fizzlebeef's side here, taking on the Fiends with the Thief alive and just letting him be a punching bag in the front row there. I think that's a fantastic idea.
It's one I certainly approve of, because you've had the thief down for most of the seed so far. You might as well bring him back up and make him useful for something. Meanwhile, down the left corner, we have Chaos being pulled by Jet. You want to take this one?
Yeah, so to start with, Chaos threw out a Bane, took down the White Mage there, unfortunately, throwing out some lock strats onto Chaos, roosing up the Knight, and continuing to throw away, trying to get some fast going, hopefully before that Black Mage dies. Definitely not as good of a position as Dangwu was in. But we're just going to continue on with trying to damage Chaos as quickly as possible. 413. Swirl comes out. I didn't see the damage there. It was pretty minimal, though. I think it was like 100 damage or something like that. Much less than a physical attack. 342. So we're definitely averaging a little bit less damage. We didn't get as much fast out. But a big critical hit there for, I think that was 700 damage. 383, and still plenty of HP to go. Lord Fizzlebeef is taking on Chaos at this point as well. And 744 for another exciting hit there. And Jat finishes off Chaos, and Teamwork for Dummies and now becomes the new champs at the top slot of this Double Dragon Championship. But Trash Island Treasure Hunters has done absolutely fantastic this seed as well. There's been a couple of gatekeeping spots, and the fact that they made it as far as they did definitely speaks well to the skill of all of these runners.
Yeah, it was the early portion of the game that ended up being the deciding factor, and even then, Trash Island Treasure Hunting units still made a worthy run at it. So you can't fault them for anything that happened. It was just one of those things where randos going to rando. Meanwhile, as this is going on, Lord Fizzlebeef continuing his fight against Chaos, trying to throw on a bunch of Invis 2 stacks on both the Knight and the White Mage. Not a bad idea. He's out of speed charges, so that's not going to do too much for him. Let's throw a Cure 2 out, keep the Knight in decent shape, and well, the Knight's got the Mazza. What's the White Mage using here? Weight strats. Makes sense.
Yep, just healing up where necessary and swinging with that big heavy Mazza. Makes sense when that's pretty much all that your party is really capable of doing at this point. So I believe when he came into this fight, all 4 of his members were alive though. So
I'm hearing the door to the broadcast booth open, so looks like we have our winners tonight, and the new Irongol Double Dragon Tag Team Champions. Teamwork is for Dummies, Dangwu and Jet. GG's, y'all.
Thank you.
GG's of the world! Yeah!
yeah,
You keep in mind, you're on RPG limit break, so please try to keep your promos PG related.
Okay. It only took us 3 times the charm to take him down, but you know what, ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages, we were able to do it. Yes!
GG's Fizzle.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I would remember looking over this flag set and going, "Oh, the only thing they got to worry about is everything is loose." And then there was a ton of items in all of the Fiend locations. And so I was like, well, why don't I get this kind of luck with a loose seed? But at the same time, that was a pretty rough Topher as well.
Yeah, I mean, Clamp's stats 150, 300 HP is not messing around. We leveled okay for it. We didn't get the ribbon in Marsh Lock, which hurt a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. I think it was tough, but it was pretty fun to play, I think, overall. Except for Deng Wu, tried to buy Cure 2 on his night for the entire seed and could not press the button. Like, it was just impossible. That night could not have Cure 2.
Every time I went to provoke it to do something, I get sidetracked. And I just completely forgot. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go back there. And I kept telling Jat during the entire time, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go buy Cure 2, or I'm gonna go buy this for the night. And I just forgot. Yeah, good times.
Well, go ahead.
Alright, well, one thing I noticed right from the start is that both of you Dan the Thief and ran 3-person strats. Was this something that you both decided to do independently of each other, or after you saw what the party was forced to be, did you decide, okay, that's going to be the dead weight?
Yeah, no, we decided beforehand that that was going to be the dead weight. I mean, the Thief is a questionable class to begin with. When it can promote to a ninja, without being able to promote to a ninja, it's just pretty bad. There was some debate about keeping it up to put a Masa on it, because we knew we were guaranteed one, but I think at the end of the day, having more HP on the White Mage in the night is kind of like, and more damage on the night was the goal, so the Thief was just going to take a nap. Also, the Black Mage had a blessing of Thief Luck, so it was just as good at running, more or less, as the Thief. So that also made a difference.
And I noticed there was a little bit of a shopping divergence between the two of you. Deng Wu picked up Quadux pretty significantly before you picked up Life 2, Jat. And it was really interesting to see how you guys were kind of coordinating that. And the biggest thing that I saw throughout the whole seed was that the two of you were never in the same spot for very long. So very nice teamwork there. But what made you go for the decision of continuing to dive Ice Cavern? I gotta know what your willpower there was.
Oh, well, the chime was there on that floor. I knew it because of a hint. So I just needed to get the stupid chime and then get out. But because once I found the chime, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna keep going, because you saw I got the chime, and then I sat there waiting for Deng to get the item, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try and full clear this if I can, because I'm here. I'm not gonna like exit out with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 chests left. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try and clear it, and then luckily I got the loot then, which is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last thing that I saw throughout the seed was in the Temple of Fiends Revisited. It seemed like Kraken was gonna be the big contender for the Gatekeeper, and then here comes Tiamat with the Quad X and Cure 4 and what was it, Rub?
The Quad X with a 600 threshold. Oh yeah.
I was like, I need to get my knight above 400, because we still knew there was 2 nukes left in the pool, I think. So I was like, okay, I need to get him above 400, so I spent a turn on Cure 2, and then I was above 400, I'm like, okay, cool. And then I get Quad X, I'm like, huh? What just happened? And then Deg's like, oh yeah, 600 Quad X threshold also applies for the enemies. Get wrecked. So I went and was like, hey Deng, where were those pro rings you were talking about, and picked them up.
Yeah, but it seemed like you guys also had a really smooth Chaos fight. Chaos did have Bane, but other than that, he didn't really seem to have much. Was there anything that you saw in there that we might have missed?
No, Chaos just had he was very, very, very tanky. And I got a little bit lucky with the Bane not hitting my 2 critical characters. Like if it hits night there, I'm just starting over. So that was lucky. My plan was to go Invis 2 turn 1 on my White Mage and then Wall turn 2 on my Knight, but my White Mage, of course, just immediately died. So yeah, I was just kind of cross my fingers at that point.
Of high-level elemental spells, but he had Blizzard. I think he had a high-level. I think he had Thunder or Thunder also. But because we had the Dragon Armor, we were able to negate a lot of that on our Knight, which helped.
Yeah, Dragon Armor MVP here, man. Well, and Massa +5, but that's...
Yeah. But yeah, he didn't really have much, and it was just kind of because we knew the Zap was out there still, we knew Bane was out there still, I think, and it was just a matter of getting a wall out, at least on your Knight.
The first time, you didn't know Zap. Tia zapped me, though, and I got lucky again. I mean, my Knight was level, like, 31 or 32 at that point, so, like, not, like, incredibly lucky, but it was definitely sketchy. Like, my Knight's probably, 30-40% to die over those two, so, you know, gotta take what you can, I guess.
But it was definitely a hard Temple of Fiends, because it's very easy to get triggered, so it's kind of nice to have somebody to talk with and kind of like plan out what you wanted to do with it, because there was like you said, because the carry for me was, you know, I never bought armor. Surprising, I didn't buy something for one of my characters. There was no armor on my White Mage, so Carrie literally looked at my White Mage and it fell over. So you know, a couple item swaps later and my fight's a little bit, you know, little different compared to his.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, the other thing with it was that you guys did a little bit less grinding at the beginning in comparison to your competitors. I think that they were trying to go for pirates first. Instead of going for the Earth Spike tile, which was really the determining factor. They were still at the Power Peninsula after you guys had like the slab and the Oxyale, and we're about 3/4 of the way through Sea Shrine.
Okay. Wow, yeah, so the reason I actually, like, in the middle of the race, I was like, hey, how much HP do Earths have? So I had to figure that out. And then once I knew that they capped out around 400 with Invis 2 and stuff, I thought I could get through them at like level 8 or 8 to 10, and that ended up being correct, so that was good. Dang was like on the pop grind in case we had to kill pirates.
Meanwhile, while all this is going on, Luffy has now terminated Chaos, and the Trash Island Treasure Hunt unit has officially finished the race. And they have now both joined us here in the broadcast booth. GG, gentlemen.
Hi.
GG's, guys.
GG's.
Best out of 5. All right.
Best 3 out of 5.
That's right. So that was that was good, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, so I came in towards the end of Jad's explanation, and I don't know, around an hour into the seed, it was one of those things where it's just like, okay, because of that start, like, we could be neck and neck, we could be 20 minutes ahead, we could be 20 minutes behind. I have no idea, because it all depends on if they found a better way to take down those Earths than we did, and it sounds like a maybe?
I mean, it was just a sword plus whatever, like a short, or whatever the sword was in Canaria plus whatever, and then level like 9 Knight with plus 20% hit did the trick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did the pop grind. I got my Knight to 20 or 21 first.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a big
same.
boy.
Now that sounds like it took a while, and it did, but that was mostly a solo grind. So yeah.
While I was taking like ogres outside of Elfland to get to like level 10 and try the Earths, Dang was on the pop, just in case we had to do pirates.
That was my fear too. I saw pirates in our future, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go try the Earth, and if it's not that, you stay behind at pop, and I'll let you know if I start swearing after I get the marsh incentive.
The 3 gold in the marsh box, but luckily it was the canal.
Yeah,
So Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Dave.
I was gonna say the solo grind on the pop was not very conducive for me or or helpful because I kept getting 4 zombies and they hit for like 78 a pop every time.
Sounds familiar.
What? You're saying you didn't get lucky turn order all the time? I totally got that every time.
Yep,
There's no
every
way that
time.
I kept dying to everything.
Yeah,
Right.
I thought one thing I really liked about this flag set though, which I hadn't actually played with hints ever before this was actually a Wrigglypuff special.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I thought the hints were like really interesting way to play with Oops All Loose. Because
Yes.
Yeah.
oh look, there's a floater in Volcano, hey Dang. And then Dang's like, there's no floater in the Volcano Armory. I'm like, dang, I just read the hint again. There's a floater in the Volcano Armory. He's like, okay, I guess I'll go back and check. And he's like, oh, I missed the chest, guys. Teamwork.
We had a separate version of that where I was just like, okay, whoever finishes whatever crap they're working on first is gonna go do ice because everything is in ice. And as I'm turning the corner to head towards ice, I'm just like, wait, no, hang on. One of the things was not in ice.
Mhm.
Crap, it was the floater. Crap, I gotta turn around. Hang on.
Oh, was there a hint for the loot in ice? I didn't.
Yes, it was
Oh.
in marsh.
Oh, we didn't check that. I got not super lucky, I guess. I was just clearing ice anyways because I was like a chimes there, and I just hit the loot. I'm like, hey, Dang, we need a loot for go mode. And I was like, hey, Dang, I found a loot. We're in go mode. Let's go.
Yeah, we kind of forgot hint NPCs until like 20 minutes in. I think it was
Yeah.
until after I was taking my 20 night into Marsh and I was just like, oh yeah, hint NPCs are a thing. I'm gonna go talk to this guy over here. Hey, we have to go talk to the guys in Provoca and Canaria and
Yeah. They were very, very, very helpful though. Floater, Oxiel, Rod,
Yeah.
Chime, and then
Mhm.
Earth was like the bounty of riches.
So I just want to pop in here real quick. Lord Fizzlebeef and Luffy, you guys actually had some pretty decent Topher luck in comparison. But what were your thoughts on Topher?
Thank gosh your knights are over leveled like well beyond the targets that we had to bring them in.
Yeah. Yep.
Because when we went into this, we were just like, let's just get a knight to 30-ish.
Mhm.
Yeah, as long as Mazza is fine, that'll be fine, especially after we damned the useless thief early.
Mhm.
And we wandered in with like 38 knights.
Oh, okay.
Or
That,
no, Luffy's knight got to 38. I think mine was, gosh, where was mine? Low
like-
30s.
Yeah. 34
Like 35,
maybe.
34, 35, somewhere in there.
okay, I wouldn't really call that like a luckier Topher. You guys just had a much higher level. Like my knight was like 30. We were aiming at that low 30s, right? And we both wiped in Topher on our first tries, but the second tries didn't really get. We got slightly luckier, but we also just knew what was coming, so we were able
Right.
to deal with it a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to reset out on my first dive because slow 2 did a thing.
Yep.
Oh, yep.
I was trying to be the scout, and I was just like, oh yeah, no, Kraken 2 is easy, just whatever. And
No,
then
Kraken 2 was not easy.
all I saw was like lightning 2 and ice 2. It was whatever. Like,
I saw that on the second dive, but he obliterated the black wizard before he can get the fast off, and then
Mhm.
slow 2 hit the back row of the knight. I'm like, oh, okay, well, yay.
Yeah, the only thing I don't know about, like, Dang got pretty decent. He did pretty decent. He had a good plan and like got good kind of turns on the second time around. But like the only thing that got a little lucky for me is my fighter dodged a zap, and what was the one on Chaos? Bane. I dodged 2 things without a ribbon at the end, and it was like, oh, okay, yeah.
Mm.
So that was good. I got wall the first time, but the second time my white mage just died turn 1.
Mm.
I did find it hilarious is on carry 2, I went in there and I swung right away for 700 and I said, all right, and I keyed up a quad X2 and it landed, or it hit. And I was like, okay, carry's not dead. We got lots of HP to go through still. Oh man.
yeah, the downside of level 20 solo grind at the start was that our mages had like no levels.
Oh.
I had just enough fast casts on my black wizard for Kraken, Tia, and Chaos, and no spares after that. So no quad X shenanigans for me.
Yeah, my we had 4 casts of fast on our black mages, and
Mhm.
it's like 6 casts of life or 5 casts of life in wall. So like enough, but barely.
Yeah.
Yeah, GG's though. Thanks guys. That was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
GG.
GG's.
Yep. All right. Well, as we're approaching, it's actually just past midnight here on the East Coast. Let's go ahead and get some final thoughts in so we can give RPG Limit Break the channel back. Let's start with the new champions, Dengwu and Jat. Any final thoughts for us?
Dang.
Okay, well, just to say thank you to, you guys, the commentators, Shadowed and the Mused Miniature. Thank you very much. I hope I said your name right.
You did. It's all good.
Yes. No, but seriously though, I appreciate you guys. You both came out here and did it for us. Thank you. Thank you all the fans out there. Lord Fizzlebeef and Luffy, thank you for letting us have a 3rd time's the charm to crush you guys. We appreciate you guys. I'm sure you guys will challenge us back very quickly at some point, and I'm terrified because it's going to be your chance to make the flags.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Alright,
not much else on my side. Just thanks to Danny for tracking and Darkmoon for restreaming. And yeah, GG's. I'm looking forward to the next one. Maybe we'll get Gregley out here on the, if it's a different day or different time.
Alright, Lord Fizzlebeef, Luffy, anything you'd like to add?
Everybody please donate to my new Kickstarter campaign. # free canal. Canal will no longer be in super jail. All canals shall be free now forever.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to you guys for commenting. Thank you to Danny for tracking, Darkmoon for the restream. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. A little salty, but that's okay. We'll get you next time.
Indeed. Any final thoughts from you, Shadow, other than thanking RPG Limit Break for allowing us to use the channel to broadcast an awesome race?
Well, you kind of stole some of the taking care of business thing I was going to do, but no, I don't really have any final thoughts except I agree with Lord Fizzlebeef, free canal.
Indeed. Well, in that case, I want to thank everybody who came out and joined us for our race here, and we will see you next time. We have our weeklies coming up, but other than that, I don't think we really have anything else on the schedule, do we?
Let's see here. From what I can tell,
Duck
Derby.
now,
Week 4.
Yeah.
Finals.
getting to that, folks. Gotta give me a minute to get some words in here. Yeah, tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, is the 4th and final week of the 2021 Winter Duck Derby. So far, it's been a runaway competition. The same person has won the last 3 races. We're interested to see if he can make it a clean sweep. So tune in tomorrow night for flags that are going to be a lot tamer than what you just saw here. Thursday evening at 10:30, I believe, it's 10 or 10:30, is our other weekly race over on Randomania. That one has an evolving flag set that's been changing slowly from week to week, so feel free to tune in and see what sort of shenanigans is happening there. And I'm certain there'll be other pickup races and Irongol matches showing up on the schedule as everyone deems it necessary. So other than that, now that we've paid the bills and thanked the sponsors, I'd also like to thank Danny and Darkmoon for their assistance behind the scenes tonight. Thanks to the Amused Miniature for listening to me ramble for the last 2 hours and not wanting to beat my head into the concrete at the end of all of it.
Well, thank you very much for joining me in comms as well. I've been out of the randomizer for a while, but I'm excited to be back. And thank you for all the information that you shared with me, as well as I am a duckling as well.
Well, we'll have to start somewhere. Unfortunately, I'm probably still going to be here 5-6 years from now, but hey, it just means I get to have more fun doing the tracking and commentating in the background, and I'm fine with that.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. And Dark Moon, Danny, thank you guys very much for the restream and tracking support. And to the runners, thank you guys so very much. I learned a ton from this seed, and it's brought a lot of questions to mind about how I play. So thank you guys for showing me how it's done.
And on that note, we're going to go ahead and sign off and let RPG Limit Break have the channel back. For the Amused Miniature, for Danny3883, for Darkmoon, and for our runners on screen, I am Shadow Flames. Good night, and don't forget, going fast is always the best option.